Well, hello my friends. How is everyone today? Doing great, I hope. So I'm driving, as you can see, hands-free of course. Might hear old Hunter Winston over here panting and breathing funny. I do have the AC on. He's my chocolate lab. He's sitting over here in the passenger seat. I also got the twins in the back. So if this is the first video you're watching, my beautiful wife gave birth to two amazing babies, two amazing individual units of consciousness in human form. A boy and a girl, Bronco and Genevieve. They're sleeping in the back, nice and quietly. We're headed out to our farm. Just left the city here. The wife will be joining us later. And I had this inspiration to make a video about talking about specifically mental hygiene and how that relates to nutritional hygiene, how that relates to health and wellness and well-being, and why it's so incredibly important. So if you've never heard of mental hygiene before and what that is exactly, then you're in for a treat because we're going to talk about it today. So, first of all, there are many pillars of health, meaning in order to have exceptional health and well-being in one's life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it's important that they are focused on all pillars of health, that they're all harmoniously working together, because they are all interconnected. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of us focus on nutrition, diet, what we put in our bodies, right? The food that we eat. And that's obviously incredibly important. It's paramount. Without good nutrition, you are bound to have disease. It could affect your mental health. It's going to affect your physical health, no doubt. For sure, right? And that's why there's such an emphasis placed on nutrition, on diet. I like to call it nutritional hygiene, right? So eating a species-specific, species-appropriate diet is going to be paramount in having excellent health and well-being. We know that, right? And that's why we focus on it. So let's switch gears here. What are some of these other pillars of health and why are they so important? I don't know if you hear that weird noise, but Genevieve's behind me sucking on her hands. She might be a little hungry. So hopefully we can get through the video without her bursting out crying, but she's probably just sucking on her thumb a little bit. Anyway, mental hygiene. First of all, what is that? Why it's important? One thing I will tell you is that mental hygiene is just as important, if not more important, than mindset. And this will obviously be a little bit different for, different people, right? Some people have excellent mental hygiene skills, stress management skills, emotional self-regulation skills. And so it's not hard for them to implement that into their life. It's just a part of who they are. Other people have excellent nutritional skills, right? They can stick to their diet and clean eating and do it incredibly well, but they might have a messy mind. So you can't really have one without the other. You can try, it's just going to be more challenging. And even with a messy mind, if you have an exceptional diet, you have exceptional dietary habits, and you are eating a nutritionally responsible diet for your body, right? You could still have problems if you have a messy mind. That's how important it is. If you don't have proper stress management skills, if you are not mindful, if you don't know how to emotionally self-regulate, if you have poor subconscious thought patterns that are negative and disempowering, and you cannot create emotional resilience and empowerment and confidence and happiness, then you can still create disease with your thoughts alone. And that's a fact. That's a scientific fact. That's how powerful the mind is. Think of the placebo effect. the placebo effect is just kind of glossed over, like, yeah, whatever. That's the placebo effect, just is an example of how powerful your thoughts and your mind are. You could take a sugar pill that you think is a drug, and because you actually believe it's a real drug, your body creates the chemical cocktail and puts the intentions out there by way of the mind to either heal or improve a physical health condition. And meanwhile, you took a sugar pill. That's how powerful the mind is. The placebo effect is an example of what we're talking about here. Thunder's making a lot of noise. I got the AC on, but he's still panning, so I apologize if you hear that. It's kind of loud. All right, so the opposite of the placebo effect is the nocebo effect. So if you think disempowering negative thoughts on a regular basis, they become habits, habitual thought patterns. They sink down into the subconscious mind, and you literally become that which you are thinking regularly. And so as of right now, you may have no idea why your personality is the way it is. You may think, oh, it's just who I am. You may be bitter all the time, or towards certain people or certain situations or circumstances. You may just see the negative in things all the time, and you think it's a good quality, right? Or maybe you think you're a positive person, but you really are negative, right? You really are disempowered, and you're not fooling anyone. So that's the problem when these patterns become subconscious, because you're not even going to be aware or conscious of the thought patterns, the reasons why you are the way you are, the way you think the way you think. And a lot of this programming of the mind happens at an early age, because we are most suggestible due to our brainwave patterns between the ages of when we're born to 7, right around 7 years old. Our brainwave patterns start to adjust as we get above the age of 7. And so once you're an adult, you have these very hard programmed patterns, very hard wired programs, beliefs, limiting beliefs, thought patterns. A lot of them are negative. And we're not even aware of it. It's just our personality, the way we hold ourselves, the way we think, the way we believe, it's all hardwired and programmed in the mind from a very early age. It changes, it can change over time, different traumatic experiences, things that really catch the attention of the mind will turn them into patterns or repetition, right? So it's like you have a couple bad relationships, you get very bitter because of these bad relationships, you ruminate on them, you talk about them with other people, you're constantly generating the stress hormones, you get addicted to the stress hormones, and the next thing you know, you have hardwired new negative thought patterns that are triggering stress hormones in your body, and they become subconscious and automatic, and you just live your life in a state of disempowerment, negativity. And guess what? All of that affects the body because it's a physiological response. The thoughts create the emotions. The emotions are essentially chemical cocktails that are being released in the body. A lot of times these are stressful. You get addicted to them because you do get a rise. It's like when you get really angry at someone, you're getting a rise. There is a cascade of stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol that release, and it sort of feels good, but it's preparing you for the fight or flight response, right? So this all becomes hardwired. And this is obviously turning into a long video, and I don't want to get too much into the nitty-gritty of it, but let's go back to mental hygiene. So what is mental hygiene? Mental hygiene is regular practices, rituals that you use to, number one, reprogram your mind, eliminate limiting beliefs, re-empower your mindset, program in empowering, positive, wholesome, happy, healthy thought patterns. There's also techniques for emotionally self-regulating, meaning you become aware and conscious of how you respond in certain situations if you're triggered, and you're able to self-regulate. You're able to create more emotional resilience. You're able to turn off that sympathetic fight or flight response before it even happens. When you get really good at it, you essentially rewire yourself where you can stay cool, calm, collected, and even happy in the face of anything, right? And it's amazing when you start to experience these shifts, and they really become these shifts, then it's truly amazing to be in a situation that would typically be highly triggering, either of anger or fear or whatever, or even a dangerous situation, and you're able to remain completely cool, calm, and collected. That's powerful. That's powerful for you, your body, your mind, your decision making, the way your brain works. And so this is important because, and the reason this is so important is stress kills. Stress creates disease. If you are in a stressful state, constantly in anxiety, constantly fearful, constantly getting triggered or angry or whatever, and maybe you don't even know why, you got these negative thought patterns that have been embedded in your mind for decades, then you're able to completely shift that. You're able to be empowered. You're able to be confident, happy. And guess what? That results in more health and well-being. Because if your body is in constantly a sympathetic fight or flight, stressful state, or even regularly throughout the day, what you eat will be handled differently than if you're in an empowered, happy, healthy, parasympathetic rest and relaxation type of state of being, right? So even if you're eating that perfect nutrition, if you have a really messy mind and a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and fear and all that other stuff, disempowered, you're not able to regulate, then your digestion's going to be off, the way the nutrition's handled in your body is going to be off, and you're creating the stress hormones anyway in your body. So physiologically, you're going to be off. That's why it's so important to have solid, regular mental hygiene practices, right? We take showers, we brush our teeth, we focus on our nutrition, we exercise, we move, right? We're doing all these physical hygiene activities, but how much time are you spending on your mental hygiene? And so maybe you're wondering, well, what are some of these practices you mentioned? I mean, a simple one that most people are aware of is meditation, mindfulness. I teach and I practice EFT, emotional freedom technique, exceptionally powerful. It's an exceptionally powerful technique that works fast. It's great for rewiring the brain and letting go of trauma, limiting beliefs, stress, anxiety, all that. I practice it every single day. It's not hard to learn, and it's easy to implement into a daily routine. You just make a habit out of it. Another one is HeartMath, which is a form of meditation and breath work that I practice. I practice other breath work techniques like Wim Hof method, right? So there are numerous ways to optimize your mindset, to change the way you think, which is going to change the way you feel. And when you change the way you feel, you're going to be happy and healthier in the long run. So that's what I teach with my clients. It's all about mind and body. I am a nutritional coach, right? I am a carnivore, keto style nutritional coach. That's the nutritional practices I also have in my own life. But one of the biggest challenges I see with just about all my clients, I have a lot of clients that just want to focus on the nutrition aspect, but almost all of them have a hard time with their nutrition because of their mindset, their thought patterns. A lot of them, create self-sabotage in their life. They have negative thought patterns where they will sabotage themselves for whatever reason, and it could be an infinite amount of reasons why they do that are deeply rooted into their mentality, their physiology, and then they beat themselves up, right? It's like self-destruction, and the next thing you know, they're sitting there eating pizza or pounding beers, and none of that's good, right? So a lot of my clients who have issues with their nutrition usually has nothing to do with the foods they're eating at all. Usually it's carb addiction, sugar addiction, which is also deeply rooted into the psychology and the physiology of the body. But a lot of them do have mindset issues. They have limiting beliefs or even trauma. They use food to stuff their emotions away, to feel good in the moment when they're feeling disempowered. They don't have other tools to self-regulate and to re-empower themselves and to create emotional resilience. And so they turn to food or alcohol or even drugs, right? So that's why it's so vitally important. You have to work on both mind and body, right? That's what I help my clients do. That's what I'm all about. I didn't really start to improve my physical health until I got my mindset right. Several years ago, I understood nutrition, diet very well, and I would stick to it for a while, but I had a very hard time sticking to it because anytime stress creeped up, I didn't have a way to self-regulate. I didn't have a way to dissipate it. I didn't have a way to handle it. I didn't know how to. And I would turn to food and especially alcohol. I used to not be able to go a weekend without drinking alcohol. And so when I started working on my mind, cleaning up my messy mind, everything else started to fall into place, and it was amazing. Now I have daily rituals that I do every morning, and that's exactly what I teach my clients to do. And the other thing is, too, these techniques that I'm teaching my clients, they're simple, they're easy to learn, and my goal is not to have long-term clients that I'm going to be working with for years, right? You go to traditional therapy, talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and things like that. A lot of times that's long-term. It might even include drugs, prescription drugs. Now, I need to put a disclaimer out there. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist or anything like that, so anything I say, take with a grain of salt. You should always check with your doctor on anything before doing anything. But what I do with my clients is techniques like HeartMath and EFT have been proven by science and research, hundreds of research papers on it, to be not only effective for things like stress, anxiety, PTSD, phobias, fears, addictions, limiting beliefs, trauma, etc. Not only have they been proven to be extremely effective for those conditions, but they've been even known to work faster than traditional therapies. EFT especially has been shown and demonstrated and proven to not only be effective, but to work quick. Typically works faster than any other therapy out there. And usually it's permanent, because we are literally getting to the root of the problems, the mental, emotional, energetic problems. We're collapsing them, we're rewiring them, and then you're off to the running, right? Because you've completely changed who you are from the inside out. And that's why EFT is so effective and why it's one of my primary practices. And that's been demonstrated to be quicker and more effective than like traditional talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. And I love it, right? I love practicing it with myself, my family, and my clients, and we do have great results with it. So EFT, HeartMath, mindset optimization techniques, there's a lot of different techniques I use. A lot of them are very simple, and I get my clients to a place where they're empowered to empower themselves, essentially, where they can take the bull by the horns and they can continue on with their lives being happy, healthy, and free. That's what it's all about. So that's what I'm all about. Mind and body, even mind, body, and spirit, because your spirituality really is integrated into all of this, right? So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to learn more, you can visit my website, which is breathtap.com, BREATHTAP, breathtap.com. And have a great day. Crush life, baby. Create greatness. I'll see you later. Take care.